The first time I saw it, I thought it was a playback error, just a glitch in the loop security footage that ran every night from the 4 fixed cameras in the lobby, elevator, hallway, and stairwell of the office tower I guarded 5 nights a week from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. But when I rewound the recording to confirm what I thought I saw, someone stepping into the elevator before the doors opened, hands already raised like they knew exactly where the buttons were, I realized the timestamp on the bottom of the screen was 4 minutes ahead of the system clock, not behind, and I stared at the monitor frozen, watching as the elevator opened in real time exactly as it had 4 minutes earlier, the same person stepping out with the same motion, same coat, same limp in their left leg, and that's when I understood this wasn't a glitch, wasn't a loop. Something in the system was showing me events before they happened. I didn't report it right away because I wasn't even sure how I'd explain it to my supervisor without sounding like I was losing it, so I kept watching, kept logging the discrepancies, and over the next few nights the delays grew, 5 minutes, then 10, then 20, and the things I saw on the monitors weren't just small movements anymore, they were entire sequences, like watching previews of events no one else had lived yet, and the more I watched, the more I began to feel like the building wasn't just monitored, it was reacting, adjusting, predicting. I ran small tests, left a chair in one hallway to see if it would show up on screen early, placed sticky notes in view of camera 3 with the time written down, and every time, the monitors showed the object or action before I actually did it, never by much, never with sound, but always just enough to be undeniable. I told myself it was a technical fluke, maybe a buffering delay in reverse, something tied to the software update they pushed last month that none of us understood, but then something changed. The footage didn't just show what was going to happen. It started showing what could. Multiple versions of the same moment. A man walking past the lobby, then stopping. Then that same man walking through the lobby. Then that same man unlocking a door that didn't exist. Then nothing. For feeds, one reality. And I knew then I wasn't watching security footage anymore. I was watching choices. I started checking the monitors obsessively, not just watching them but studying them, comparing every frame of each alternate sequence. And I noticed that while some of the footage aligned with what eventually happened in reality, like someone taking the stairs, a light flickering in the hallway, or a janitor cart parked slightly askew, other footage never came to pass, vanished completely like rejected possibilities that dissolved once the real world made its decision, and I became terrified that if I watched long enough, I'd see a version of myself doing something I hadn't done yet, and that fear turned to certainty 2 nights later when camera 2, elevator view, showed me standing inside, face blank, wearing the same uniform I had on at that exact moment, but staring into the lens, not at the buttons, and the timestamp was 13 minutes into the future. I stared at that screen like it was a countdown to something I hadn't agreed to, and when the time came I stood at the edge of the lobby refusing to go near the elevator, pacing, sweating, daring the system to glitch again. But the elevator still opened at 12:47 a.m. exactly, and a version of me stepped out. It wasn't a playback. It wasn't a reflection. It didn't happen, and yet it did, but only on the screen. I never moved. I never left my desk. I never pressed a button, and yet that version of me rode the elevator down and disappeared off camera as if my future had split and no one told me which path I was supposed to take. I checked the logs. Nothing registered. No badge entry. No elevator movement. No thermal signal. Just footage. And as I watched the screen go black after that final frame, I noticed a new icon in the corner, something the system had never shown before. A symbol, a circle with a line through it, and next to it, the word observer. I didn't sleep that day. I didn't go home. I stayed in the guard station with all 4 cameras running, waiting for another version of me to appear or maybe disappear, and when I finally got up to use the restroom around 4:10 a.m., I passed by camera 4's view, hallway west, and for 1 second, no more, I saw my own back walking in the opposite direction, away from the camera, disappearing into a door I knew for a fact had been sealed shut for over a decade. The next time I saw myself on the monitor, I didn't panic. I recorded it, timestamped it, cross-referenced it against every real-world input I could track, but nothing registered again. No motion sensor, no ID badge, no heat signature. And the more I watched, the more I noticed that the footage wasn't just early anymore, it was selective. Like the cameras weren't showing everything, just what I needed to see, or maybe what they wanted me to, and I began to realize this wasn't a malfunction. Wasn't surveillance. This was a message, one stitched together from glimpses of possible futures, all arranged like a warning I hadn't yet learned how to read. And what made it worse was that the building itself started to change with it. Doors I never noticed before had rusted locks and scuffed paint like they'd been used recently. Stairwells that had been sealed off for years now smelled faintly like smoke and winter air. And once, just once, I saw a red light blink behind a vent as if something inside had blinked back. I stopped clocking out. I slept in the chair. I kept the monitors on even when I wasn't looking because I knew the moment I let them go dark, the version of me I didn't understand would come back. And he did, this time on camera 1, lobby view, standing still just inside the entrance, not walking, not waiting, just standing and staring directly at the lens, unblinking, and behind him the door was wide open. But there was only blackness outside, not night, not street, not parking lot, just void. I watched for 11 minutes straight as he stood there not moving, and on minute 12 he raised his hand and pointed, not at the door, not at the desk, but directly at the camera feed itself, like he knew I was watching, like this version of me had been watching me longer than I realized. And the moment I blinked, he was gone. No transition, no glitch, just frame to frame, empty lobby. I tried to pull the footage from the archive, but it wasn't there, and instead I found a new file stored outside the security log, untitled, untagged, just a single still image of me sitting exactly where I was, wearing the same shirt I had on, looking at the same monitors, but behind me in the reflection of the dark glass, a door slowly opening. I stopped trusting the monitors after that, not because they were wrong, but because they were too right, too deliberate, like they weren't recording the world anymore. They were creating it, one frame at a time. And I started noticing things in the building that weren't on any blueprint, like a staircase that spiraled downward for too many floors, or an emergency exit that led to another version of the same lobby, but mirrored and silent and without cameras. And every time I turned my back to a screen, I'd feel like the system used that moment to rewrite the next one. Like if I looked away long enough, it would replace me frame by frame until I no longer remembered which version of myself had come to work that night. One evening, I tried leaving early, not to escape, but to test the theory, to see if I could break the loop. But the elevator wouldn't respond to my badge. The stairwell door was chained shut from the outside, and every hallway led me back to the security room, no matter which direction I walked. And when I finally sat down in the chair again, the monitor showed me already there, already watching, as if I had never left, as if I had only imagined walking away. I turned off the lights, let the screen stay on, let them show me whatever they wanted. And what they showed next was worse than anything before. Camera 4, the back hallway, showed a woman I didn't know stumbling out of a door I'd never seen open, barefoot, eyes wide like she hadn't seen light in years. And she looked directly into the camera and mouthed a single word over and over again. Help. I rewound, paused, zoomed. It was always the same frame, always the same word. But her file didn't exist in the building registry. No one had signed in or out. And when I checked the hallway itself, physically walked down there, shaking with every step, the door was there now, wide open, the hinges broken, the inside dark. I didn't go in, but the camera feed changed the moment I turned away. It showed me walking through that door, flashlight in hand, disappearing into the dark. I watched myself vanish, but I was still standing outside it. I checked the live feed again, and I was gone. I don't remember deciding to go in. I don't remember lifting my flashlight or stepping through the doorway, but I must have, because the next thing I remember is the sound of the door slamming shut behind me and the feeling of cold air rising from the floor like the whole stairwell was breathing in reverse. And when I turned to go back, there was no handle, no hinges, just brick wall and black silence, and the faint glow of green emergency lights that didn't belong to any part of the building I recognized. The stairs didn't go down or up. They just twisted sideways, slanted like they were built wrong on purpose, and every turn looked the same, bare concrete, flickering lights, and the low hum of machinery too deep to trace. I walked until I reached a landing that had no stairs beyond it, just a steel door with a small square window and a keypad with no numbers, only symbols, the same symbols I'd seen on the monitor that day, the circle with a line through it, and under it the word that had haunted me ever since, observer. I reached for the handle. The door opened before I touched it, and on the other side was the security room. Mine. Same chair, same monitors, but the feeds were wrong. They weren't showing the building. They were showing my apartment, my street, the grocery store I go to, the cafe I sit at on Sundays. And on each screen, the timestamp read not just minutes ahead, but days, weeks. I watched myself do things I hadn't done yet, walk routes I hadn't taken, make choices I hadn't made. And slowly, on one of the monitors, I saw another person appear behind me, blurry, but wearing my uniform, standing in the shadows, watching. I turned around. Nothing. When I turned back, the monitor showed the chair I was sitting in, now empty. A blinking cursor on the screen appeared. One line typed itself in real time. New feed selected. Subject, you. The cameras stopped showing the future because they had caught up to the present. And now I sit here every night watching myself live seconds before I do, until someday one of us moves without the other. And when that happens, the one still watching stays.